let's dive in. Okay,
So what are we doing today, Master Darren?
So
Darren.
last week we wrote a plan for an entire Celtic Avallen sourcebook.
Yeah, that was amazing. That people done that before. Has any role playing? There must have been someone that's done that on stream before. Yeah.
Who knows? But we did it. We succeeded. We've written a draft of contents. We know what we're doing, and now we're going to start doing it, Kurt. We're going to start writing it.
I'm about it. Let's get on it.
So I did some maths. I did some calculations using the numbers and the whatnots. And bear with me for a second. Judging on the page count that we wanted to do and the contents that we've drafted, I gave a number of pages for each section that I think we want to try and reach. And for this section, we're going to work on the Pen Levi, because that was a request of Gargoyle in the Discord. So we're going to work on the Pen Levi today.
Oh, and Gargoyle's in the chat too?
Is that Gargoyle? Of course it is. I'm so dumb. Hey Gargoyle, we're doing Pen Levi today because you asked for it, and this is the week that we're doing it. So good job you're here.
Yeah, asking ye shall receive.
Yeah. Hyped. Cool. I mean, you can help us out as well. Okay, cool. So, yeah, we want to basically, I calculated, we want to write, I've taken like how many words were in one of the rule books, put it into here, and it's about 8 pages we want to write in 12-point Arial, or for stream, we want to write 13.5 pages in 0.16 font, which is probably not going to happen on stream. Yeah.
So yeah, Darren is a math nerd because he has a doctorate in physics. Yeah, I'm glad to see you applying your math education to relative font sizes.
Just simple ratios, Kurt. Just simple ratios.
Simple ratios. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we want 13.5 pages in 0.16 font of establishing lore for each clan, and that's not including lore about their god, their fae, or fiends from the other world, or GM secrets and adventure ideas, because they all have their own sections. This is just core Pen Levi stuff about the world they live in and that kind of thing. And this will be between 2.25 to 2.6 times more lore than any previous book. Wow.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So we want to write double plus. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, we had this conversation yesterday about how we had the Pen Levi sections in the core rulebook, and we had the intro section in the fairy book against Fairy Queen. But we're still gonna because the point of this book too is if someone's not familiar with Avallen, they can still enter the world. Yeah. But we're gonna take that information, try to condense it. We still need to do an introduction, but that's gonna be short, right? Like how short do you imagine the introduction would be versus all of the new stuff? Half a page of introducing, maybe?
I think it's more that each section will be embellished further. So looking at the Against the Fairy Queen campaign book, the Pen Levi Clanland section is 1 and a bit, almost 2 pages, right? Yeah. And we have a section on the environment that's just 1 paragraph. A section on the lifestyle that's just 1 paragraph. The appearance, 1 paragraph. The values, 1 paragraph. Then we have a whole section on the leaders. I don't think I put this in here for the GM's sake. I don't think the players necessarily need this. They don't need a whole paragraph on one of the Breyer. That could just be a mention, and maybe that's in the GM section instead. Because I imagine humble people in Avallen aren't familiar with the leaders. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They might know their name, but they're not going to know details about them. Yeah. They probably don't even care sometimes. Yeah, go on.
So the texture you're looking for then for players is it's almost like a role playing aid, right? This is what you know as a Pen Levi, and these are the things you grew up with, your culture, etc. And that way you can affect the air and personality of that character of that clan.
Yeah, that's the intent. Yeah. So, what have I said here? So I asked a question for you and for chat. What do we want to include that we haven't before, and what do we want to embellish? And I said previous contents are focused on leaders. I just said that to you now. So I was thinking about the environment. People want to know where they are, what kind of things they can find there, what kind of world did they grow up in, and that would also include the lifestyle, probably a hierarchy, who's in charge of your tribe, how does that work, and then obviously culture and popular tales as well. That's what I was thinking, but yeah, and then what those things entail, I don't know, and very interested in hearing from chat as well, and from hearing from you too. Yeah, and we could just pick one of these things to work on. Yeah, go ahead.
So for me, the Pen Levi. Now, how do you say it correctly? Pen Levi? Is that okay? Is
Pen Levi. And here's some beautiful Pen Levi people here. I love the artwork. This is from Rafa.
Yeah. Man, that's gorgeous. Yeah. I would say okay. So, and I'll throw this in the chat too if you're joining because you love the Pen Levi. Pen Levi is one of my favorite, maybe my favorite tribe as well. It's probably a tie between Pen Levi and Penafunk. Because Penavant are mysterious and interesting and weird, but I like the Pen Levi because a lot of the things that we often associate with quote unquote barbaric Celtic culture, for lack of a better phrasing right now.
Well, no, you could call it Roman propaganda, right? Because that's what it was.
Okay, yeah. So though, because a lot of the stuff we know about the Pen Levi, about the Celts came from the writings of the Romans, right? Yeah. About like Caesar's campaigns in Gaul and all that stuff. So yeah, of course it's propaganda, like you said. They're gonna try to describe it as a certain way. But a lot of things that we associate with Celtic culture, like cutting off heads for power and raiding and all that stuff, we sort of like concentrated more in the Pen Levi. So for me, they feel more authentic in some ways. But we've also done this thing where we've put them kind of in like this an adverse situation, right? Of being in like a bog people, so to speak. Which is slightly different, which is interesting too. So yeah, I think I'm most interested in exploring the culture and tales and what that means for them. I mean, it's all kind of related, right? Because their environment and lifestyle informs their culture. Yeah. But things like how they view death. Like I thought we write about this in the book and how they view death. They're the least afraid of death amongst all of the Valak.
Yeah. I mean, so fundamentally the shtick about the Pen Levi is that they live in a swamp, right? And resources are very scarce, and that leads to a certain desperation almost, where you don't have time to worry about how your neighbor is doing because you're worried about food for yourself. And yeah, we're a tribe together, but if you're slacking behind, we're going to have to leave you because we can't take care of you. It's a fight for survival very much, which involves raiding other tribes, even outside of the clan as well. And so yeah, death is very close, always close. So respect, yeah.
And their relationship with the Everones is that they're for the most part their chosen deity is the Everstranger, who is the god of death in Avallen. So and then we have this kind of how do you say it? Dual view of how they act, how they sort of hold themselves, where they're not afraid of death because they know that they're gonna have their due rest in the next life. So they spend this life, eking out a meager existence, knowing,
that if they do their best to help their tribe survive, they'll be somewhat rewarded by the Everstranger in the next life. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I am Lord Gargoyle. Let's call him Lord.
Yeah, Lord Gargoyle.
Lord Gargoyle. Can't call you Lord Garg. Lord G. Got it. All right. So LG says that culture, environment, and their specific take on the Shed mythology are the main things. Yeah.
Okay. So, in that case, then pick one of those things for us to start on, because we've got environment here, we've got lifestyle hierarchy, and we've got culture, popular tales. We're gonna have to start somewhere, so you can pick which one we want to start
on. I want to riff on what our boy LG says. The specific take on the shared mythology, right? Ooh. So the thing as a role player that will sort of set you apart, especially in a world with gods and fairies and all that stuff, is what does the other world and the Everstranger and the other Everones look like from their point of view, right? Like what's their worldview on death and the other world and the thing, and religion. So basically, and how does that how does it affect the way they conduct themselves? Because it's like that funny trope, like, oh yeah, well we'll have a better rest. I'm just gonna fucking kill myself, then I'll like. But then that doesn't lead to any kind of productive society. What do they think the Ever Stranger wants of them, right? Why would the god of death, who's saying that is wants to welcome them to the next world, why does he care that they propagate themselves as a culture and continue to survive? And speaking his name, I think that's a question that must be answered, right?
Okay, let's do that now then, shall we?
Yeah. So okay.
You go
on. I mean, obviously, I have my thoughts on that, but I'm curious about your thoughts about that as well.
So the question is, why do the Pen Levi believe what is it the Ever Stranger wants them to do, and why do they believe that he wants that? Is that the question?
Kind of like, why do they believe that the god of death, the Ever Stranger, would care whether or not they continue to sort of exist in the mortal realm, right?
Yeah.
And why? How does that help them propagate their society as a band of raiders living in difficult situations? Is it like a Christian kind of, what do you call it, like a burdening, like a trial of burdens type thing, and just having to do that? Or is it something more like they have to spread the gospel of the Ever Stranger and bring death to others? There's different ways. Probably not
exactly.
not that.
Yeah, it's exactly not that, right? Okay, so why does the Ever Stranger care? I think it is an affinity thing for twofold. One, obviously, each clan belongs to their god because their god once belonged to their clan, right? The Ever Stranger was once mortal, and he was from the Levi swamps. So obviously there's a almost familial association there for him to care particularly about the Pen Levi clan because it is his own. But I think that kind of reason might fade over time. Especially for the Ever Stranger, who obviously has no lineage, he has no living family. So why is he still attached as the stranger that he is? I think it's because the Pen Levi is most close to death. Like, I mean, if we had like a census, I mean, I say that like joking. I realize the Romans had censuses and the Raxians might do as well. So maybe we could get a census, but I'd imagine the Pen Levi have like the lowest life expectancy.
Sure.
They have the lowest life expectancy. They probably have the most children. The most children probably die young as well. The swamp itself is a land of death, and yeah, they're most associated with his main cause, and also the way that the Pen Levi operate, they're often strangers to each other because because they're nomads. They don't have a town here and a village here. They get to know each other over a long period of time. They're constantly moving around. They're never familiar with each other because one tribe they meet 1 month is going to be a different tribe they meet in another month. So they're always strangers in a way as well. So they share that with him too. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think and these are other important questions to answer, right? Exactly what you said. Well, yeah, if they're like nomads and they're always having like, what are child rearing practices like, right?
Yeah,
that's like such a weird, interesting question, and a difficult one to answer. But it exists, right? There are real life tribes that could we draw parallels to. I'm trying to think of some real life parallels.
There's the Mongols.
Historical Mongols are probably
even today. They still live in the Mediterranean.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I watched a
awesome.
I watched a documentary about a Mongol couple having a Mongolian sounds weird if I say it that way. Mongolian couple having a child, and literally the day after, like they get on their motorcycle, like no helmets, and just drive off. Like the mom's holding the baby. The baby's like literally 1 day old, and they just get on a motorcycle and drive off.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And that's the Pen Levi vibe, right? It's like you just gotta do what you do. You gotta get back to your home and take care of that stuff. And I think that's the Pen Levi child rearing vibe. It's so insane, but it's just like they're tough and I think another thread where we're talking about, because again they're closer to death, but they're playing in a world that's alive, And a big thing in Avallen is that belief still matters, right? Like an Everone or a divine or a god or goddess or whatever. They still have to derive some of their power from the belief of the dead, of mortals. So it could be that there's like this thread of people encouraging worship in him because that's necessary for his power. But on some level, everyone believes in the Ever Stranger, right? Because even though everyone fears him, so there's still a belief in that. So in some ways, he's the most powerful of the Ever Ones because
I think it's kind of canon that the others would pray, other clans would pray to the Ever Stranger when their loved ones pass on to see that their souls would make it to their own god, right? He kind of helps guide them to where they need to be in the other world, even if it is in the Ever Mother's realm. The Ever Stranger would still help that,
and in some ways too, and they also have was it Innis Duil? How do you pronounce it? Innis Duil?
Innis Duil or Duil.
Duil, Duil. So Innis Duil is the
Wait, can I teach you to do the double L sound in Welsh again?
Okay, go for it.
So
I do it.
So it's both a sh. You do a sh sound like sh.
Like a shot,
Yeah, but you're doing it with the L shape, with your tongue against the top of your mouth, like you're doing la 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 sounds. So,
I see that.
So you put your tongue up there and you blow air around it like a shush sound. So yes, it's Duwish.
Duwish. So,
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Duwish. So in this Duwish.
Yeah.
Math's hard. Yeah. Thank you for coming to the Welsh stream, to Welsh lessons. If you want to subscribe to Darren, thank you so much, Darren.
I should do a YouTube. We should do a video for that, like a 10-second video. Because, dude, when I was first getting into like Welsh language, I couldn't find a video for that, like how to make that sound.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
And maybe it's been made since, but go on. Yeah.
You also need a really good costume. I think you should do it in costume. You should dress like a Valak warrior.
Well, actually, I could wear a daffodil. I could be a daffodil.
Okay, yeah, but what is that? What is that? Not the flower.
It's a yellow flower. They like wear yellow flower faces on like certain celebratory days or when you watch the rugby or whatever. It's like the flower of Wales. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Well, that's why daffodil is spelled with 2 F's.
That makes sense.
If it was one F, it'd be daffodil.
I did not know if it was a Welsh word, but there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's why I put in so it would be daffodil.
No, just daffodil.
Oh no, sorry, it's double L sound only. Double L sound only, not double F. I got you. Okay, so
wait, we got a message from Lord G. That's a fun sound. I first learned it for Tlingit, a local native language part of the Nahuatl family. The TL is the same as the Welsh double L. Dude, that's so freaking cool. I had no idea. I'm going to write that down to look it up later. That's awesome. Thank you. So that's Tlingit. I love languages. Language.
So are you, I mean, don't dox yourself. But so that means you're in America then?
Good question,
Probably Alaska? Alaska? Yeah, well, anyway. So, Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Love your trees.
You
got good trees.
I love the Pacific Northwest. We should go sometime. I
have been. Well, I went to Seattle and Vancouver.
Yeah. I've been to Portland. I've been in Portland, Seattle, and I have some friends that live up there. Near the old Wizards of the Coast, so I like the area.
Oh yeah, true. Actually, Kurt, side thing that blew my mind for a second. So we said belief matters, right?
Yeah.
And that just led me on a train of thought for a second. Before the Ever Ones were there were the Theathra, right?
Yes.
Does that mean belief matters for them as well? Is that why they try to instill fear and suffering in everyone? Rule their nightmares, that kind of thing?
It could be. So so here's the thing. So this is a world building thing, right? The answer is probably yes, with a but, right?
Yeah.
I think. I think the answer is yes. Like perhaps they become more powerful with, because they have like a divine essence. but they must have also some kind of power in them, because if otherwise,
where did they come from? Yeah.
Where do they come from? How did they rise to power in the first place?
Yeah.
So
there has to be a threshold of power, right? Like, even if no one believed in the Everstranger anymore, for example, would he still be a powerful being? I think the answer has to be yes, right?
The answer has to be yes, yeah. Oh, like, no one believes in death anymore, so death doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, maybe. And also, what did death look like before the Everstranger?
Anyway, we're actually getting off topic here. So we're actually talking about the Everstranger and that kind of thing, and that's supposed to be reserved for like another section. We're still talking about Pen Levi culture.
Yeah, right? Sorry. Yeah. So this is part of the culture, right? So what do they believe in, right?
Yeah.
So beliefs still matter than culture worship. So the idea then is that there's a cultural memory of the Everstranger, right? As like this, because I think the relationship with the Everstranger is the relationship with death and their life in general. Because as shitty as the Pen Levi Swamplands are, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, sure.
Right, because of the Muklevi, or just like the most horrific creature that in sort of cultural memory. Yeah. And the Everstranger stopped it, and he was able to salvage what he could of the land, and they're able to survive. Still, like, it's not the greatest, it's not as lush as the Pen Land, or or as resource heavy as the Pen land or whatever, but they have enough to get by and to survive within their families and to keep growing, and if they don't have what they need, they'll take what they need from others.
Yeah.
And because it's inevitable for them to do that, they'll do what they have.
If they don't have, so they are grateful for what is left, I guess, for what is left.
Yeah.
What is left, or what remains of their land, thanks to the Everstranger. And if they don't have what they need, or rather, what else they don't have, and if they don't have what they need, they will take it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, isn't it like that's an inevitable way of life, right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll put that like that's an inevitable reality of life. And to me, that sort of mirrors in the reasons why they participate in things like trophy taking, right? Yes. Of cutting off the heads of their enemies and harvesting it as like symbols of wealth and power, of status and power, because taking the head of the enemy shows that, one, you did something with purpose, right?
Sure.
And of course, we'll have to go back and read more too on some of the historical views on this. But within the context of our culture, one, there's purpose to it, and two, it shows that you honor death, right, by displaying it.
True. Yeah, you're right. Head taking, I think it does two things for me. One, you're right, honors death, and the other thing is that it proves that you can take stuff. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I do think we read in the book too that there's this belief that there's a certain power that you get from that, like if you take the power of the person whose head you cut off, and I think that ties into it as well. I don't know if that actually turns into some kind of, what do you call it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I know what you're saying, because is it okay in a world where there's magic for people to believe things that aren't true? Like, should it actually give them power, or is it just something that they believe and it doesn't actually give you power? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it?
Sure. So that's a interesting lore to game design question, right?
Yeah.
Because in our world, as rationalists, we now believe that cutting the heads off things don't actually give you the power, but in their world, it could have some sort of tangible benefit, because maybe when you cut off someone's head and you have belief, like the gods are suspended belief, maybe they believe hard enough that it gives them a benefit.
Yeah.
But Gargoyle says absolutely should be possible to have quote unquote wrong beliefs in fantasy. Yeah. We agree with that. But I guess what we're sort of playing with is, I think in a game you have to follow what's fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is it fun to have it be tied mechanically or not?
Yeah, and do you want to encourage players to then start taking the heads of all their enemies?
Maybe, that's part of the game mechanic too. Like, do we want to encourage that? Like, if you're the Pen Levi, you believe that you get the power of your...
okay, so well, again, we're moving to the topic now, but I'm now imagining, like, when we have rules for what happens if you devote yourself to the Everstranger, maybe that's the benefit you get, right?
Yeah, if you take a trophy, because trophies kind of exist in harvesting things, but if you take the head of like a human enemy or a humanoid enemy, maybe you get an advantage or you get a buff, like a temporary buff of some sort. Even if it's like psychological, because that's the thing too, right? In a game, there could also be psychological benefits to it. You take something's head, and if you're walking around with a stick of heads, people automatically fear you, and in battle, you get an advantage. That's fucking gnarly.
Yeah, that is gnarly. Oh, we have a new chatter, Heidenberg. Hello, Heidenberg. Welcome. You're Italian. Yes, I know who you are. I think.
Big ups to Italy.
Yeah, big ups to Italy. Thank you for invading our land and giving us something to talk about. It's pretty awesome.
What time is it in Italy? I guess it'll be not too far from your time, right? It's like 1 a.m. there or something, or midnight. Pen Levi could be able to use that ability on humans.
He's talking about the scavenger. The scavenger can make
the scavenger, the trapper. Yeah, the scavenger.
But they do it from monsters. The Pen Levi could do it from people. Yeah, that's awful, but I like the idea.
Yeah. So it's at midnight. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're 1 hour ahead of us, aren't you, Heidelberg? Yeah.
Well, welcome to the dark recesses of the evening soul in the middle of Italy, as we talk about. So we're talking about. And here's a question for you, Heidelberg, because you're from Italy. When you read or play Legends of Avallen, who do you identify with? Do you have a favorite clan?
Oh, that's a really interesting question.
Or are you a Raxian? Because so I'm curious about your thoughts on that. So anyway, the idea of mechanically we're set up to do that, right? So to have someone harvest a body. But see, thing is, by choosing this, then naturally as game designers we start thinking, okay, well, if that's what the Pen Levi does, what's a similar thing that can be done in each other tribe that acts as a benefit that they do, right? So we just have to keep that in the back of our minds if we decide to implement that.
Trophy taking off heads as a mechanical benefit. Logar says, quote, "Yeah, that's awful, but it works." Is basically Pen Levi in a nutshell. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love the story, and also coming up with reasons why the Pen Levi who are so savage, compared, in the eyes of the Raxians, like what. There still has to be, because in a game like this where people want to play different identities, there still needs to be wiggle room for why they're okay with traveling with others and adventuring with like other people that aren't in their own tribe or have different beliefs, right? So that's another thing we have to explore.
Yeah. I think we kind of mentioned that in the core rulebook. I'm quite happy that, because we included ideas about why you might belong to that clan and why you might have left like the homelands. Like, what's your reason for being elsewhere?
Right. Was ours one of the reasonings that was it about being they're kind of the most mercantile or the most mercenary of them?
What did we say? We said that the most feared clan. It's not uncommon to find Pen Levi all over Avallen. Their culture encourages a nomadic lifestyle that's fueled by the vicious struggle for limited resources in marshes that pushes out many a family. So I think we just had the idea that the some Pen Levi, they can't cut it and they have to leave. And also the nomadic lifestyle just means they like to wander anyway.
I could see I could also see them being kind of because they're so well acquainted with death. I think sometimes we have this view, and correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
In a lot of media or cultural or like whenever someone's associated with death, they're kind of like, oh, we have like this kind of view of them being goth and dark or whatever, because it's like death. But because they celebrate death, maybe if anything, even though their culture is very raid and aggressive or transgressive oriented, maybe personality wise, a lot of times their culture is like very, how do you call it? Being garrulous or loquacious or like charming or whatever, charismatic is an important part of culture too, right? Because it kind of has to be. You kind of have to be an optimist. Like maybe they're a tribe of dark optimists, and so it makes it easy for them when they're not to get along with to sort of slot themselves into other places and to adapt, right?
Yeah, that's fair. You're right. You're saying like, okay, so if they are nomads, they do travel over Avallen. Why do other people accept them, right?
Yeah.
Why don't they just like kick them out because they're death worshipping nutcases, and they're likely to murder you in your sleep? And I think, yeah, you're right. Maybe they are nice to be around. I mean, we know that the Everstranger is also a god of revelry, right? He enjoys his parties, and so did the Pen Levi. So they definitely have a celebratory. I think maybe the Pen Levi love life as much as they love death, right?
Right.
They appreciate life more than you do, and you're right. That optimism is an interesting take.
Yeah, they should be death worshippers, but you can't have it be where a fundamental part of their culture is like, well, because like the whole kill you in your sleep thing, you don't necessarily need that because one, a tribe can't survive like that, right? A tribe still has to,
exactly.
like when they'll kill other people in their sleep if they're against the tribe or their clan or whatever, even if they're both Pen Levi. If there's a conflict, they will, but that's what makes them like great allies, right? They won't fucking hesitate to kill someone on your behalf. For your survival, and that's what you want in an ally. Like they're great allies.
Death worshippers, they're not death for death's sake. The death always has to have a purpose.
I'm looking at Gargles saying suggesting edgy wizards that I mean they could be kind of, I'm trying to think of like certain archetypes, but basically I want to give room to any given tribe. There should be a range of behaviors. But when I'm playing the Pen Levi, I guess there should be that range of like kind of moody, dark, brooding guys, because you associate that with death. But I think there should also be room for these kind of like staunch allies that will not hesitate to fucking kill things to preserve their found family. And I think that's a really interesting role play too, right?
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite things in the core rulebook lore section is the festival that you came up with for the Pen Levi.
Was it the
Meeting of Strangers or something like
Gathering
that?
of Strangers?
Gathering of Strangers. No, not that one. No, that's the meeting at Loch Leovan. I'm thinking of. Wait, where is it?
I'm looking the book down to see what you're talking about. There's a lot of stuff we wrote, so it's
it's Festival of the Mucklevy. It's on page 140 if you're following along at home.
The Festival of the Mucklevy,
yeah.
Hold on.
So what do we write here? The Pen Levi comfort with mortality is most evident in the Festival of the Mucklevy, for which tribes must find one or more others travelling locally to them to come together for an autumn week. The first day of the festival is a great feast, filled with drunken revelry and orgiastic intermingling between tribes.
Oh, yeah.
And on the second day, warriors from each tribe don grotesque makeup and costumes in imitation of the gruesome Mucklevy that once plagued their people. The warriors recognized as worthy are given the chance to challenge current leaders to mortal combat to assume their place. Warriors who die in these battles are honoured for giving their lives in service of the Everstranger. On the third day, once all challenges have been resolved, the new leaders of the tribes convene to build alliances, while the rest continue their revelry in celebration of the worthy dead.
Yeah. I would love to delve into the festival more in the culture book, right? And talk about the implications of this behavior. Because again, from our current Western point of view, it could be that if you were just to sort of play it straight, without much feedback, you might think of it as being like this kind of political edging or vying for power or something. But I imagine it from the point of view of the Mucklevy is like, oh, okay, well, if you die, then you'll just be with the Everstranger, so don't worry about it. But do your best.
But it's not just that as well. It's a way to make the tribe stronger.
Right? Yeah.
Because if you lose, well, then that's fine. Then you know that your leader is better than you. And if you win, well, then that's great. Now the person who should be in charge, right?
Yeah. And then everyone who loses, they're not shamed, right?
Yes, they're not shamed. Yeah, exactly. They're honored. Yeah.
Yeah, they're honored for it's like a sacrifice, and it's a cool thing, and it's a cool thing. It's cool to die for your tribe.
Yeah.
in honorable battle. So,
given that was one of my favorite things in the book, and given that you want to delve into intricate, interesting stuff in this lore book with weird particulars and that kind of thing, can we come up with like a weird particular thing as to develop here and now, like just something off the cuff?
Sure. Did you want it to be specifically related to the festival of the Muklevi?
No,
or do you want
it doesn't have to be.
No, okay.
It could be something completely new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, child rearing, right? Like, so how could we talk about child rearing? Like, what's it like growing up as a kid in the Pen Levi, or how do they raise children? Is it communal, or is that too?
Yeah. That's really interesting to me. Okay, so if you live in a swamp, so if you grew up in a swamplands.
Yeah. Also, wait. Sorry to interrupt you, but first we establish how do people live? Like, in the campaign book, I said they kind of have like caravans, where it's kind of there might be pack animals, they have things, and they're constantly moving around the swamp, right? Is that how you imagine it as well, or do you think there's other ways of doing it?
No, I think that's pretty accurate. I think because we have to think about how they survive off the land. Like, how do they get food, right?
Yeah.
How do you get food? How do you get the resources you need to survive as a tribe in these kind of lands? And so we sort of have to start deciding how badly swampish and corrupt the land is, right?
Yeah.
Like, in a given day, are they just like killing swamp lizards and swamp rats and eating those? Or are there parts that are actually somewhat arable and they can actually grow some food and they come back to it every so often? Like, what do you imagine? How they like?
I don't
themselves?
think they grow food at all.
Yeah.
So I think they hunt game. I think they fish, and they might collect like fruit and berries and things like that.
Yeah. Okay, so there's still enough. Like, maybe there's like a species that grows enough species of trees or whatever that grow that produce kind of gross fruit that they're able to still survive off of.
Yeah.
You know,
and they must have some herds of animals that they herd around as well, looking for any kind of wildlife to feast on. Yeah.
So maybe there's like a kind of like what's that animal are they yaks? Would it be water yaks, or like what kind of like cattle would survive in this kind of land or be able to?
That's a great question that I actually don't know the answer to. We can. It would be just some kind of cow. I think that's kind of the only cattle type we have in the UK, really. But obviously, this is fantasy of Avallen, so
So that's the thing too. Is like we can draw from other cultures still, like water buffalo or
goats as well.
Yeah. So what would be what do you think would be a appropriate animal to raise in a swamp? And again, just in a swamp in general, like. Let's do Google search. Actually, let's look up cattle that survives in a swamp. Cows of the swamp. Well, I mean, I guess no, I don't know if that works. Aurochs. Does that work? Aurochs survived in central Poland. They survived in central Poland till 1627. Orcs might be good.
What about goats? I guess we kind of want an animal that can pull things. Is that what our motivation is?
Yeah. I just think what's possible. Think about what's possible. But actually, looking at aurochs because aurochs are extinct. I think the diet of the animal would. Yeah, so the diet of the animal would have been similar to cattle. I'm on this University of Chicago Press. I'm gonna post this journal in our. Hold on, I can save the PDF. Please let me save the PDF. Yeah, I found this academic article about aurochs, and I'll send it to you later. But it's called Retracing the Aurochs: History, Morphology, and Ecology of an Extinct Wild Ox.
Cool.
And I guess a quote from it that might be relevant is that the diet of the animal would have been similar to cattle, including grasses, browse, acorns, and some tree bark, and the species was a forest dweller and likely preferred marsh and wetter forests.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's useful.
So coming up with like some species of Valak auroch that has mirrors to real life aurochs that went extinct. Yeah. And this is one of my favorite things to do in game design, by the way, is just to like, it's like puzzle solving, right? Like, okay, well, we need the thing. What does history say?
Yeah.
It's like you said, you're in Wales, but it's not Wales, so we don't have to rely on that. So Aurochs make a lot of sense as their
pack animal.
Cattle of choice, pack animal of choice. Yeah. But when they go raiding, that's the thing too, right? Like they must raid when they raid other tribes and other clans. Cattle is still a sign of wealth. Right?
Yeah, true.
In valid culture. So there must be areas where you can still take like regular cattle or cattle that doesn't like wetlands as well, is what I imagine. So there's like a mix of crappy, rocky, or flatlands, but
what if that's an interesting distinction? That we already kind of established it there, haven't we? We already have in lore, in canon, that they steal cattle, right?
Yeah, they must like, and that's just. I mean, I like to imagine that every clan engages in cattle railing.
Yeah. I was just wondering, it could be interesting that the Pen Levi don't do that because the rest of the cattle in Avallen can't survive the swamps, so they raid for everything else but not the cattle. But we can't do that because we've already established that they raid cattle. Sometimes you can't use your ideas because you've already written other ideas. That's okay.
Well, I mean, what they can do though is, because it's still food, right?
Yeah.
It could be that when they raid other cattle, like, because maybe they need the aurochs for different reasons, right? When you talk about caravans, aurochs are not just valuable for food; they're also valuable for transportation.
Yeah.
Right, because they're strong and they could they load them with a bunch of stuff if they need to pack up and move. And that also begs the question of what kind of housing they live in. Maybe they have like some system of tents or movable collapsible housing that they can put on cattle and move around, right? But when they do raiding other places, maybe they just do that for food, right?
Yeah. And they slaughter the cows afterwards, like a huge feast.
Yeah,
and then preserve the meat in things. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So again, going back to the question of child rearing, what kind of tribe? This is weird. Going back to child rearing in our fantasy fantasy setting, if they do have livestock, but they don't really farm. They're mainly hunters and gatherers still.
Yeah.
But they must have ways to create temporarily stable environments, right? Which include collapsible housing of some sort, tents or whatever, and finding grounds where they could just sort of lay up for like a week or something, and the babies are basically, once they give birth, they're expected to just get back on the move like the next day if they need to. But that could also be a reason for that's also a great reason to do raiding, actually, right? Maybe a lot of raids happen by tribes when childbirths are impending, because what they do is they raid other cattle and they go out of the land and bring back cows for milk. They bring it back for fur, for hides, for without taking up their own resources. So cattle raids could be
you're right. That's interesting, because obviously you don't want to, if you're moving around constantly, you don't want to carry much stuff with you. So when you suddenly need things, then you'd want to try and get it then and there, right? So maybe I don't know. Is it? Yeah, that's a good idea. Like raids before births. Yeah.
I mean, obviously they also just raid for glory and honor, and that's still a thing. But there's a practical reason to do raids when there's babies on the way, or it's a season of like child rearing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the idea that you should chat and Derek can shoot down too. Babies are born throughout the year, but it's not so convenient. But maybe there's a period of time where it's more convenient to do child rearing together.
I don't know if you know, but the Pen Levi have a festival in autumn, where they have orgastic interminglings between tribes to share the DNA out, right? So
so maybe that's the other goal, is like the low key reason for the festival of Muck Levy is conception.
Yeah.
Right, and so that would mean if and I imagine this being the Valak equivalent of October, assuming that Avallen has 12. Does Avallen have 12 months?
We haven't decided on a calendar yet. I really want to do that, and I want to think about it before we decide. So I'm not going to say anything on stream, but yeah.
Sure. But assuming that it's like 12 months or whatever, or nine,
Sure,
a
sure.
12-month year. If it was like the equivalent of October, November, December, January, March, April, May, June, July, August, then they would be having babies in August, September, right?
Wait, really? If it was October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, June, July. Yeah.
Would be July, August? Isn't it nine months, right?
Yeah.
Am I counting right?
So you start in October, right? So then October,
October,
November, December, January,
Jan-
February, March, April, May, June.
Wait, are you counting 8 months?
No, 9. Am I crazy?
July, right?
Sure, June, July. I counted October. Did you count just from November?
No, I count a month after. October is 0.
Oh, okay, sure.
Wait, is that how it works? Actually, clearly we're two men
Doesn't
talking
matter.
about child.
Yeah.
So
It's
if you're-
fine. June, July. It's the summer. It's the summer.
The summer, yeah. So babies are born in the summer, right?
Yeah.
Or they try to have as many children born in the summer as possible.
Yeah. I guess, is that
Which
actually like not true though? Didn't you want babies to be born in spring? Because it gives you the most chance to. But I guess it doesn't matter. We've already established
No, all we do is we just make the Festival of Mucklevi earlier. Then.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay,
Yeah,
so babies born in spring, summer. Babies born in spring, summer.
Yeah.
Due to the festival of the Mucklevi. But yeah, that's good. And then that means they can coordinate, which means they can coordinate reading. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also this there's also then that there's a taboo around, maybe there could be, again, you could take this for whether or not we want to use this idea. Maybe then there's also taboo about child rearing or trying to have babies in September, like in the winter months, right? Like, so if you do it on the other side of things, you have to be really careful about having a baby, because no one wants to have a baby in the dead of winter in the Pen Levi lands.
Yeah. I think that's just that's a given, right? Like that'd just be a sensible thing not to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there could be interesting storytelling session there at some point, is all I'm saying. So,
True.
So if you're not farming, it probably matters less when they're born. I mean, if you're not farming,
I don't know if that's true, right? Like if you're more exposed to the elements.
Yeah, that's where we're coming at from.
Yeah.
You don't, like, if during the winter months and you're like a nomadic tribe, it just becomes, and you depend on how you gather resource. Resources are just far more scarce during the winter because you're living off the store of stuff you have. So I suspect it does end up mattering.
Yeah, I think so too. So we have these kids, right? And I imagine we're wrapping them up and sticking them in like carts as we're moving around, or keeping them in tents when the tribes are stationary. Like, who's looking after them? What kind of what's a coming of age ceremony like for the Pen Levi? When is that? What does it involve?
Yeah. Well, actually, first of all, do they have? You said put them in carts and stuff. How do carts work in like swampy and marshy land?
It's a really good question, dude. I don't know. I mean, wheels still work. I imagine that's what the oryx are for. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I imagine oryx, small boats, or boats that could somehow.
Yeah, I do think that there's probably two kinds of Pen Levi actually that we haven't really realized this yet, but it's going to be the kinds that go through the actual swamp, trying to find stable ground to move through and be upon. And there's going to be the kinds that skirt around the shoreline, and they just boat everywhere, in and out of the land on the marshes. So I reckon there's Orc, karting, Pen Levi, and then there's boat Pen Levi. And I think there's two kind of distinct cultures that probably exist in the world.
You think so? Like, you don't think it's okay to just have them be kind of like each tribe sort of adapt to either of those, right? Like, I don't necessarily think it's one or the other.
What do you mean? Sorry, I'm not following.
Well, like if it's a tribe that values flexibility and survival, wouldn't each tribe just be taught both skill sets?
No, I don't think so. I think that there are two different lifestyles that require different skill sets, and you're better off specializing, right?
Okay.
Two, how do you go from being a boating people to then being an orc karting people if you have boats but don't have orcs or cars? or if you have multicast but don't have boats. Like you don't want to just
So it's
So
it's a question of like choosing a resource, like your resources, right? You can't. Okay, I could see an argument.
And I think from the outside, no one probably appreciates that. They probably get raided by Pen Levi boat raiders, and they get raided by Pen Levi cattle stealing people, and they don't realize that it's two kind of
like parallel.
Yeah.
They're still Pen Levi, but they still kind of be like they're the other side of the family, right?
Yeah.
From their point of view. Oh, that's really interesting. Did you write that down?
I haven't, but I'm writing it down now. Yeah,
that's a fun idea. Yeah, I mean, we reserve the right to explore, change whatever we talk about on stream. But it's an interesting thing to explore. It's fun.
So orc, cart, pulling, stable, ground, searching, tribes, and then boating, fishing, what do you call, did I say perimeter? What's the edge of a land? It's not beach.
The shore?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Sure, it isn't really simple, it's just shore.
Yeah.
Fishing, shore, raiding, tribes, yeah. Cool, that's new. That's brand new. I really like that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right though. Like, I wouldn't put it past the Pen Levi to be able to just like make boats if they need them and know how to do it.
Yeah.
But I do think specialization matters. You will have some that prefer to be on the water and some that prefer to be.
We can explore this idea more. Like maybe too that in each tribe, maybe that's, that's a specialized job or profession within a given tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you still have your warriors and stuff, but maybe someone just has to be the sort of, the herder, and then another person in the tribe, and that's like a valuable position. But the other version of the tribe has like, that's the boat builder, and that's their equivalent of that. Like it's not necessarily everyone's a boat builder. It could be that you just have like one or two boat builders within your tribe that specializes that, sort of coordinates stuff and whatever. Or it could be the chief who does that. Who knows? But yeah, that's really interesting idea, and it's
and it makes the Pen Levi further multifaceted. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we do a Pen Levi coming of age ritual?
Okay. So what does it mean to be born and then you? I feel like almost certainly it's tied to rating, but that's just what my first instinct says.
Probably. But that's a good question though. Does that mean every child has to go on a raid? I mean,
well, when we say child coming of age, you're talking about 12 or 13, right? Like when you're able to sort of raid and take something from others and bring it back to your tribe, then you're a man or a woman, or you're like someone who belongs to the tribe.
Yeah. So is that's what I'm asking? Is this just a warrior thing, or is this an everyone thing? And is there a distinction for the Pen Levi? Because obviously in some clans there is like, you're a warrior, you're not a warrior. Do the Pen Levi have that, or is everyone a warrior in the Pen Levi, or is there a hierarchy of warriors?
I think it's more. I am large. Our LG suggests that probably every child has to do at least one raid. They just don't can all continue to do so later. And I think that's a fun idea, and I think you don't. I don't necessarily think that when they go on a raid, that could mean different things, right? They could just ride with the warriors, but there's greater honor in, like, there's levels of honor, right? Like when you come back, if you like took a cattle, that's one kind of honor. If you fucking killed someone and took their head back, that's like the highest honor you can do on a raid.
Right.
But maybe most people just going on the raid is enough, It's just like getting your taking your driver's
maybe
test.
This plays into what you said earlier about like Roman tropes about Celts and what people think about the Pen Levi. Is like, if all Pen Levi have some training as warriors and have been on raids, then it lends this idea to them that they're all savage, they're all crazy. You meet any Pen Levi, you know that they can kill you, right? Whereas you meet a Pen Bive, you don't necessarily know. They might just be gardeners, right? They might not be warriors. But for every Pen Levi, they have some skill with a blade or some kind of weapon.
The Pen Levi are badass.
Yeah.
The fundamentally they're badass. So I like that idea. That's fun. Write it down.
It's going down.
It's going in the book. And LG continues that you could have adults who aren't considered fully adult. Ooh, that's a fun idea too. Like there could be people who don't want to go
or
on
if they
raids.
can't, right? If this is the thing, that gets difficult though, because if they can't raid, physically speaking, it's likely that they're not going to be let to survive, right? Unless they have some other spiritual benefit or something to the clan. If they can't hold their own, then
there might be a couple ways to look at that. Either it's this idea of they're not fully adult, in which case, they're, with regards to the Pen Levi, they could be like dead weight unless they have another skill. And what I imagine being more of a skill to survive while being kind of not someone who can fully contribute is this idea of like they're more of the Everchild, right? They're like the sort of, what do you call it? The two-faced or binary sort of spiritualism, right?
Yeah.
Where they're not quite a man or woman or not quite an adult, but they have one foot in the other world in a way. So like mystics, and maybe mystics and druids can sort of go down that path if there's still a path for someone, because when you're a tribe, yes, the weakness they want to call weakness, but strength means more than just physical prowess too, in a world where fairies and magic are a real thing. So that's where my head's at. But what do you guys think?
Okay, but then that lends this idea though. Does that mean the Pen Levi see druids as children? That doesn't.
No. Right? But no, they may not see them as children, but they could be less of the ever stranger and more of like the Everchild, which is a child but not a child, right?
Yeah.
It's this kind of ambiguity. There's like ambiguity there if they have value to your tribe, but they're not doing the typical path.
Yeah. Gargoyle has an interesting idea. He says sickly people who still manage to survive could be considered particularly impressive.
Yeah, there's a strength in that as well, right?
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea, because ultimately you're just trying to reserve your resources however you can, even if that means old. Like, otherwise, are they a tribe that just like kills old people once they are like too old to raid? Maybe, but
I mean that's kind of how I imagined it. I imagined they might leave them behind. That is really what I had before this conversation in my head.
Yeah.
So, but we can change that.
Yeah,
it's not written down yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something to explore. I mean, I guess we have to think about what it means to. It's not okay. It's definitely not going to be like Western culture where it's like, oh, Grandpa can't read anymore, so we're just going to put him in a swamp home. So it doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work like that.
But there needs to be like honorable conduits for people to sort of channel their skills or talents to contribute to tribe life. Like as you get older, is it a thing that as you get older you start to become a burden that you want to die in a glorious raid? Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Or do they just go off by themselves into the swamp and die?
I do think it's a combination of those things. If you haven't died doing something to help your tribe by some point, then you're then just better off walking into the swamp and dying. Yeah, I think that is how.
Okay, so it's probably
death.
Yeah. So we should definitely. Do we say that anywhere specifically? That should definitely be stuff we talk about, right? What does it mean? And that's an interesting question for all the tribes. What does it mean to go from? What's the career path of a Pen Levi? Right?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the great ideas, Lord Gargoyle. Well, hopefully you're happy with what you saw so far, and just join the Discord. Keep talking in the Discord and giving your ideas if you want to share things that you're really interested in.
And check the things we create in your honor in the VOD afterwards. Yeah.
There's gonna be a Pen Levi chieftain named Lord Gargoyle.
Don't say that.
I'm just kidding. There are no gargoyles in. Because they don't have enough stone buildings for gargoyles, so that's not a thing yet.
Oh, well, they did though. Once upon a time. But...
Yeah, once upon a time. Yeah.
What did you say? The life path of the Pen Levi. Yeah.
Yeah, but really, the life path of every tribe is something we want to talk about. The career life path.
Okay, wait. So we did do the child rearing thing. I guess obviously they're raised communally, right? And I'm guessing it's probably the priests and some people that are like caring for parts of the tribe, the caravans and the animals that probably care for the children while the warriors and the hunters go off looking for food and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So they're raised communally. by priests and I guess we call homekeepers or tribe keepers.
Tribe keepers.
Yeah, I'm not sure what is it. People that care, people that maintain the camp.
Yeah.
While others hunt and raid. Yeah. Then there's a coming age ceremony, and then I guess we're talking about adult life, right? Adult.
Yeah.
And living life.
Yeah. So you have people that still, the warriors that do hunting and gathering, raiding, others that sort of protect the tribe and the children and priests. I mean, I guess the goal of any given tribe would be to have at least one priest with them at any given time, right?
Yeah. Like, someone fulfills that role at least.
Yeah.
And they probably have an apprentice as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess another important question is, how big is a given tribe?
Yeah.
On average,
I think it has to be similar to like hamlets and villages, right? You're looking at 30 people at a minimum to 100 at a large amount, and then maybe there's some that are like 200-300, like they're like full, almost like a town that's moving. I think that sounds cool.
Maybe, but that seems like a lot of resources for a hunter-gatherer tribe.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm curious to see, like, maybe there's some historical precedents that we can do research, like how big was an average, like what's an equivalent cultural, real world?
Yeah,
it's just the Mongols, right?
Yeah.
How big were Mongol
clans or tribes
on average?
Because I guess then part of it really is more, maybe you're right, maybe they are smaller units, and it's which Breyer commands the most camps to their name, right? They can summon 1,000 people at one time.
Yeah, and like a Breyer too, like it could be tribe within a certain area, I guess. That's a hard question to answer. Let's hear. List of medieval. Let's hear. There are a total of 33. So the Mongol tribes. So this is not Celtic per se, but it gives just gives us some range for numbers. There's 33 Mongol tribes. I saw a number that was like 20,000. Man, yeah, it's tricky. Yeah, this is just a question that might take like more research.
Sure.
See what makes sense for like age, because I want to say 20 to 30 is what my gut said, but you might be right that maybe a tribe could be like 100 to 200, which would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think so. I do think so. But yeah, we'll look into that. How many folk should be a part of a wandering Pen Levi tribe? I'll highlight that to look up later.
Yeah. Another thing we never established per se is the size of Avallen, right? Because Avallen looks like
actually this. Kinda.
But we don't.
There is a section in the GM's rules that tells you roughly how long it would take to walk across Avallen.
Oh, we do. Do you remember what that number is?
I think it's like, I don't know. I don't. I think it's like 60 days, but that sounds too short.
But okay, is it bigger or smaller than?
It's about the same size as the UK. That's why I did the calculation to get a fair guess of how long it takes to walk from the bottom of England to the top of Scotland. I think that's what I did.
Sure. Yeah. I was just wondering whether or not it would make sense because the bigger the Pen Levi lands are, the more tribes you could hypothetically have in this kind of land, right? So it's
true. Yeah. So I wrote generally there are 1 to 2 regions between villages, 3 to 5 regions between towns, and 10 to 14 regions between citadels. A region being a space that you can travel in one day. It would take at least 60 days to walk from the south of Avallen all the way to the north. That's what I said.
What page are you
on? This is page 163.
Thank you. It's like we're doing Bible study with our rule book. Yes. I remember now. And Ostrich said that it will take 60 days to travel. To walk from south of Avallen all the way to the north. Okay, so we have a fair idea. So it is roughly the size of the. Well, it's pretty big. I don't. How does that compare to Japan? I need Japan for reference.
So I don't know, but let's not worry about that now.
Yeah, let's not worry about it for now. But actually, I'm looking it up as we're talking. But so yeah, that's an important question to answer. And once we do that, because like the size of a wandering tribe also tells you how many people you would probably grow up, how many people you would know growing up, right?
Yeah. And that's another thing I'm just thinking as well, is that this stranger nomadic lifestyle, I think they would encourage people maybe to leave their tribes and go out into the world, and then maybe they never return. Like maybe they do return, or they go to another tribe, or they return to the Pen Levi land and join another tribe.
Sure.
I feel like there's not very strong familial relationships. I don't think there's very strong mother-father bonds with child. I think it's the children are raised communally while the mother and father are hunting and looking for game. And then when they get older, they come of age, they stick around for a bit, and some of them leave and may never come back, and that's okay. What do you think about that?
That's an interesting idea, yeah, and that kind of makes sense to me too, the way we're describing it. I mean, obviously there will still be your mom, your dad, but it's not as strongly knit as what you have in I imagine, because everyone has a different upbringing, right?
Yeah, and it's even kind of in the name, right? Obviously, you have the clan that worships the Ever Father. They have a strong reverence for, I guess, patriarchal society and fatherism. There's the Ever Mother. There's the Ever Child, and I imagine parents would dote on their children in that kind of culture. And then there's the Ever Elder, which reveres the elders of the family. So it's still that's like a cross-generational reference. But the Ever Stranger, that's not there at all.
And it's I like the idea. And as someone who, maybe that's why I vibe with the Pen Levi, as a Filipino who grew up with a lot of extended family, like I don't know how close you are to your extended family,
pretty
but
close.
Obviously I have mine.
Well,
pretty close.
What do you mean by extended? Do you mean cousins, or do you mean second cousins, or
both first cousins and second cousins?
I'm pretty close to cousins, not close to second cousins, because a lot of them are in other countries.
I see. Yeah, but yeah, I was close to first cousins, second cousins. Actually, I grew up with a lot, and this is a common Filipino thing. We used to have parties like every weekend, and I have cousins that weren't actually my cousins.
Yes, but like here, these are your cousins. Go play with them. And it's like, wait, we're not actually related. Yeah, that happened to me in Cyprus a lot.
And I have cousins. So in Cyprus, right? Yeah. So you have that in your culture, which has doesn't Cyprus have like also like Celtic? I mean, like in your Turkish side of your family, there's Celtic origins there too, isn't there?
No, not completely. But there were Celts in like modern day Turkey kind of land, but it's the reading on it's a bit confused. I think there were either people that were kind of called Celts by other people, or they were Celts that moved across as mercenaries that were there for a bit and then went back again. Or we're talking about the ancient origins of Celts, but no, I wouldn't call that kind of region Celtic in that way. But there's the kind of Mediterranean lifestyle where you do have strong family ties, and you do have a lot of family in a home,
and it's not just your core family; it's like your and so that's what I'm used to. So I vibe with that. Man, that's the other reason I vibe with this idea of communal living, because I didn't live communally, but I was so close with my aunts who were not my direct family and my cousins, and that's I like that idea. So yes, I'm about it.
Interesting. So I kind of wrote the opposite. I wrote down not strong familial relationships, but what you're saying is, I guess, is a difference between strong familial relationships and like broad familial relationships, right? Like everyone in the Pen Levi is cousins, right? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Kind of, yeah. Like that's what you have. You have once you have your tribe of like 20, 30 wanderers.
Yeah.
And if you're raised communally, you're gonna sort of have affinity with other kids you grew up with, other like people who you happen to sort of identify with or resonate with within your tribe, rather than just your mom and dad, depending on your mom and dad for your emotional and your stability, whatever stability you can find. It's about the tribal stability and so on.
Yeah. So I wrote down raised communally by I wrote not direct strong familial relationships, mother, brother, sister, but everyone is cousins.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, does that make sense?
I think for now, yeah, I think so. I mean, we're still have to decide on, okay, well, when you're traveling and you sleep at night, does the child sleep with their when you're growing up with the Pen Levi, are you sleeping in your mom and dad's hut, or are all the children just kind of sleeping together in the same area?
Maybe there's like a creche or something. Yeah.
Huh?
A creche.
A creche. That's a good word. Yeah. Explain what a creche is.
You can thank Baldur's Gate for that, but a creche is like a nursery, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So kids are raised in a creche.
Yeah.
Rather than sleeping in their bedroom or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why the family bonds are so, and it becomes really close, right? You grew up with your cousins or whatever in your tribe, and then when you go raiding and people die, it stings, but you're also, you're also close.
Yeah, you still have everyone else, right?
Yeah.
It's fun. I guess the way I'm thinking about it is that it's kind of diluted, but in a good way, in that it's not like your mother is very distant from you and now you're down a family member. You're close to everyone, which also means you're far from everyone as well. You know what I mean? There's no strong connection to one or two particular people, but there is a connection to everyone instead. So if you lose that, well, you still get everything else. So that makes death easier in a way as too, which ties into everything else that's going on with the Pen Levi, right?
Yeah, especially if your father, because especially with people dying all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like in raids and so on. That's so important to be like, okay, well, yeah, my dad died in a raid, but he's living honorably.
Yeah, everyone else is still my dad, and
yeah, so to speak. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
man, world building is fun.
Yeah, it is, especially when things kind of fit together. Like you have an idea, and then you kind of pursue it, and then you realize it relates to your other ideas as well. That's the best feeling. I really enjoy that.
So I love this. Yeah, and
mothers and fathers may die, but you still have everyone else. Yeah. I mean, because that has to be the case then, doesn't it? Because if death is so close all the time, you can't just leave children behind. They're valuable, right? It has to be normal for everyone to raise everyone. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's because it's communal, and that's what it needs to be.
Yeah. Communal. Whereas in Raxian and Pencoda society, if your parents die, that's it. Now you're an urchin on the street, probably begging for scraps or whatever, right?
Right. That's just the beats, so to speak. And they expect. I imagine the Pencower, because they worship the Everchild. It's more like, you have your resources, you'll be able to figure it out. And there's a bit of that in the Pen Levi too, right? Life is harsh, brutal, and can be harsh, brutal, and short. But at least we have each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this kind of combination of really dark elements and really positive elements that I fucking love about how I personally would want to play this tribe, right?
Sure.
I worship death. I'm not afraid of death, but I want to fucking drink and have merry and be your friend. But if we're ever enemies, I'll kill you without thinking and let you join the Everstranger. It's fine. Yeah. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it.
You'll definitely be in charge of the Pen Levi section. Don't worry.
Yeah. I feel like too, the Pen Levi sort of remind me of gamers in a way. When you think about
go on.
When you play a game, right? You really a good gamer. You really want to win, but you also acknowledge that sometimes you lose. But at least you learn something, right?
Sure.
You don't just get upset or whatever. You just do your best but you want to win still. I feel like they view death and life in the same way. This is just kind of like an activity we're doing, and you have to do your best. But if you lose, die, then whatever. You get you're but there's honor in just in being a champion and winning. But if you're not the winner, that's not any great dishonor either. Yeah. It's just you just didn't get there. But at least you'll still be honored by others who recognize that, i.e. the Everstranger and so on.
Yeah. So I feel like so in the Pen Levi, if you die like in a challenge or fighting something, then you're still honored for strengthening the tribe through your death, right? Which clan do you think wouldn't do that? Which clan do you think would think, oh, that person's a loser and they brought shame to their family? In a way.
The Pendraig, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Yeah.
The very patriarchal.
Yeah.
Like, I could see like the Pendraig having a different view of honor, of like having, and we wrote some of those kind of personalities into, everyone's different, but we wrote some of those personalities into the Pendraig section of, I guess, Fairy Queen, of these people that have like high pride and are what's the name of the king?
Talok?
Talork, yeah. He strikes me as that kind of guy, right? Like, you lost an honorable battle.
Yeah.
But you
lost.
better not. But you better not lose an honorable battle. That kind of vibe. Whereas I could see, a druid or like leader of the Pen Levi, like, you lost an honorable battle. You're dying. The ever stranger smiles upon you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, go join.
I love that, and like, even though we're doing Celtic, and Celtic can often be quite a monolith in culture, the fact that we get to like have these 5 different clans and make them be so different from each other to the point where they would disagree philosophically on topics,
Yeah, because honor is a really important question in not just in Celtic culture, but for us as people, right? Like, honor is such a, and there's different ways of viewing honor, and there's the Asian view of honor, the Japanese view of honor, and we're not trying to like take other cultures' honor, but even person to person, what respect and honor means can vary wildly, and that's a really interesting question of what that means.
You're right. Maybe that should be a part of each clan section. Is what brings a Pen Levi honor, right? Because honor is important. Honor and renown are arguably how you level up in Legends of Avallen, right? That's what it means to take stories and so on, and have people write songs about you and to talk about you and etc. So what honor means from each clan's point of view is a really interesting question, and I think it's one that should definitely have it. So maybe that should be its own mini section. Yeah, for sure.
Like, did you write that down? What does honor mean?
Yeah, I put it in the culture section. Yeah, what brings a Pen Levi honor? What does honor? What does honor?
Yeah, what does honor mean? Yeah, how do they view that? So yeah, that's a fun idea, and I think that's really important for role players. Like, if you had a group where everybody has a different, a different tribe.
Yes.
Person of a tribe,
yes,
then they should all like be willing to look at the same event and be like, nah, I don't think that's honorable. That's fun. That's like role playing, like from their point of view.
Yeah,
I don't think this is honorable, and and so on.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. All right, do we want to just springboard into a random direction? Do we want to finish this Pen Levi life thing? I kind of want to do something random, but
what do you mean? Okay, well, I always like random, because you never know what's going to come for that.
I'm going to write down the death idea. We just said you should die for a cause for the tribe, or wander off into the swamp when your time has come. It's kind of like, so we've done the whole life cycle then, in a way.
And don't worry, stream. This is gonna read much more flowery and beautiful once we.
This
all this stuff. This is the writing process, though, right?
Yeah.
But we're sure we're doing it organically, right? No fucking. I mean, I guess we are doing Google searches, but no AI, just fucking brains and collaboration and working together. That's how this is being written, the hard way.
I guess we've written something for the nomadic life and for the culture. We could either come up with a random cultural peculiarity that we think is interesting, or we could do something for the environment, which we haven't done yet.
Okay. Well, one thing that's different, because we do mention about displaying heads, right?
Yes, sure.
So, like, and I'm interested in this ritual of, like, you're taking heads and you're displaying them, but if you're a nomadic tribe, it's not like you're putting them outside of, like, your homestead for, like, the next 12 months. What does it mean to take a head as a trophy and to transport it do they have a special way of holding them? Do they like have their own fucking portable like staves or a box that they keep heads in? Like, what does it fucking mean to have heads as a trophy when you're moving around the place all the time?
Okay, heads taking. Well, I think the way I imagine it in my head, pun very much intended, is that if you're in the position to be taking heads, I do think it's kind of not everyone does this. I think it must be certain leaders might have that honor, or maybe it's like a badge of honor or some kind of indication of your status. So maybe you can only take one head if you're at a certain station, and someone else can have 5. Like I don't know if we want to do that, but I think that sometimes you'll have them on your belt, and they will just be there. So if you want to like really show it off, other times, they'll be hanging outside your camp, and then when we're moving, well, I guess. Like, what would it have to be? It'd have to be on an orc or on the side of a car or something, wouldn't it? Really?
Or they could have they could also have a ritual of shrinking heads.
Sure.
Could also make sense.
To make it more portable. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the thing they did in like Amazonian or like tribal rituals, which the Celts didn't strictly do, but there's a certain amount of logic to that as well.
True, but then if another culture's doing that, maybe we want to save that for
a different culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it could be that rather than shrinking, they're just quite happy, like, to keep them for a while, but then once they start to decay, they clean them and they just keep the skull instead. Right.
Keep the skull, sure.
Yeah, and the jaw could go, and it just becomes easier to transport then.
Yeah. But like, does that mean that like a great warrior, he just has like 20 heads that he carries them all the time? That seems impractical.
I think that's what I said by the limit. Maybe like you just want to keep your top 5.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is the Pendragon rookie head. Like, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to just keep some random fisherman's head that you've stolen. I mean, taken rather. Like, you've got this Pendragon warrior here. Oh, you got this guy. No, I've got a Pendragon Breyer. You know what I mean?
like you're comparing heads.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
you should be comparing heads. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it could also but could also be that there's a place to leave them. Like, for example, we have like a Avallen or something.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing too. Like, there could also be gathering places where they just like, is there like a graveyard or like a dumping ground of just like numerous heads that the Pen Levies take in, like scattered around at points? Or
my first instinct was no, that would be silly because they wouldn't want to go just to one spot to dispose of heads. They would just get rid of them. But then my other thought was, wait, that'd be really cool though if there was like a giant heap of skulls that the Pen Levi like contribute to. Maybe they don't take every head there, but.
Or no, it's just like something that you pass, like these places you pass by every so often.
Yeah.
Like someone just starts a pile.
Yeah. And then
you
just get rid of your unwanted heads. Yeah.
Yeah. But then other people that pass by start to contribute to it, and then just occasionally you just come across fucking like mounds of skulls, like whatever
and
the word for that
terrifying
would be.
If you're not Pen Levi, right? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so fucking cool. Yeah, I like it.
All right, write it down.
Okay, sure. So, it's not quantity; it's the quality that counts, right? Not quantity.
The ones you keep with you. Yeah. There's still some value in quantity because whatever,
But I don't think like a Pen Levi tries like harvesting 100 heads just to make a pile, right? That's not what they're doing.
No.
Not quantity; it's the quality that counts. You keep a certain number of your best kills, I guess, and discard others. This can lead to skull piles being formed within the swamp as passing tribes contribute to a heap over time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we said before as well that maybe your station determines how many skulls you can keep.
Yeah.
Skulls you can keep. I really like the idea that some Breyer and it's been passed down through generations, has like the heads of a former like Brennan of another clan, like a Pen.
Oh, sure, like
Brennan
that's yeah. Sure, yeah, and tells tales about it. That's fun.
Yeah, someone in some clan, some tribe, has Pen Levi Brennan's skull passed down through generations.
Yeah. Now, here's a question.
Yes.
Because obviously, headhunting and gathering power is a real world Celtic convention that we're taking inspiration from, at least, or Celtic Roman propaganda or whatever.
Yeah.
But in a world with fantasy creatures, are those things that we can also harvest? Like, can you also have the head of a Spriggan or the head of a Fae or something as a trophy?
I think, yeah, but I think everyone's doing that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like everyone's keeping the head of the Drake they killed, and displaying it, right? And what's different here is that they take human heads. That's what matters, I think. Yeah.
That's the distinction. Sure, for sure. Yeah.
And I think maybe that's part of it as well, right? So there's the flip of it. Like everyone else takes the heads of animals that they kill and display it as the prowess of the hunting and adventuring power, but the Pen Levi, they turn it into a soup and they eat it because they need every bit that they can get, right?
Sure.
But they don't eat people. We're kind of drawing that line. They don't eat people. So they have no use for the head other than, well, its power and its essence. You go, I need to say, wait, did you want the Pen Levi to eat people?
No. Wait, what did you say about soup? You're talking about soup for the... You said making soup.
Yeah.
With the head?
Yeah, of a monster, of a beast.
Of a monster. Okay, I just want to clarify. We're talking about monsters. Yeah.
I
just want to clarify. Okay, well, let's entertain the answer is almost certainly no, but let's entertain the question at first, because as designers, you should entertain those things, and why not cannibalism?
Why not cannibalism?
Because of religious reasons. Because of is it dishonorable to eat the flesh? I mean, like that's the easy answer, right? Is there still it's dishonorable? Like largely, they still see other clan members as like their kin, like broadly, right?
Yes, yeah.
So it would be dishonorable to eat the flesh of your kin.
Yeah, and I think taking the head is already big of a thing. I don't think we need to add cannibalism on top of it.
I get
it would. I think it would make the other clans hate them, and I don't think they would tolerate that, right? I don't think they would tolerate cannibals.
Sure. Like, well, also, it's not a way to survive as like the Pen Levi. Like we need a so there's two ways to answer, right? There's like you're familiar with that, the Watson answer and the Doyleist answer. Are you familiar with that?
Actually, no, I'm not. I kind of get your meaning just by hearing the names, but tell me what that does mean.
Well, it comes from the whole idea of like if you ask about something in the world of Sherlock Holmes, you could either get a Watson answer or a Doyle answer.
I don't know who the Doyle is, so there's
Arthur Conan Doyle, the author.
Oh, of course.
So it's like so a diegetic answer, or what's the opposite? Exegetic?
I don't know. I just say non-diegetic.
Okay, I think it's exegetic. I think if I'm saying that word right, I might be saying it right. Hold on, let me see. Is it exegetic pronunciation? Let me see. Again, this is a running joke on all the streams I'm on. Is my pronunciation of words I've only seen by reading is terrible.
Sure.
But anyway, so you either have an in-world answer. Basically, you have an in-world answer or an out of world answer.
Yes.
So exegetic, yeah. So either we need the diegetic answer, exegetic answer, which is we just don't want to deal with cannibalism as game designers.
Yeah, I think I don't want it to have it as a broad practice that the players might be taking part in. Like, but I mean, I'm not against there being one tribe that does cannibalism, and that's evil, and that's like the foes in some adventure somewhere.
Sure.
That's fine by me.
But it should be largely taboo. So what I'm arguing is if we have an exegetic reason, or if I'm using that word correctly, a Doyleist reason, like we just don't want to fucking deal with cannibalism.
Sure.
What's our diegetic / in-world reason for why the Pen Levi don't eat people?
Yeah.
And I think that's that could be an important question to answer because for a tribe that's a scavenger and they really value like resources are scarce, why wouldn't they just eat their dead in order to survive?
Yeah.
There has to be like a cultural reason, and the easiest answer is something like honor, taboo, things like that.
I think that's probably, but also I do think it is somewhat impractical. Like the dead that are fit, that are worthy of eating, would have died in battle, when there's probably no chance to reclaim the body because you're attacking, raiding someone else and leaving, right? Sure. And if you've died from sickness, not in battle, then you're sick, right?
Yeah. No, but then you like, why wouldn't they just like kidnap people to raid them and then eat them later for later? That could also be part of raiding.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you take the livestock, but
well, you take the livestock, but if they were cannibal, like if you were a tribe that was scavenging and the land's very lean and you just need to survive however you can, why not just kidnap someone and fucking eat them?
Yeah.
And so just the impractical, that aspect of it isn't good enough because you could always just find a reason to eat people. So it has to come from like beliefs. It has to come from like a precept, a cultural precept, which we have as humans too. There's a reason why we don't fucking eat human meat, because it's anathema to us because of certain values. So I guess we just adopt those and put them, but it should be a conscious choice, right?
Yes.
Like I don't think the Celts weren't like fucking cannibals, right?
No, they weren't. They were head takers, but they
were head takers.
Yeah, well, some of them were at least.
Yeah, but they also didn't have the majority, like a huge swath of population wasn't in this blighted land either, right?
Not true.
So that's all I'm saying. Is just thinking about those reasons and basically religion is probably the best answer. It's just why there's no cannibalism.
Okay, so was there anything else we want to talk about head taking? You had this idea about how they're stored or taken, or any rituals about them, or
like I guess off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I just have this idea. Yeah, so like you cut off the head in battle, you take it back. Maybe is there a presentation of it? Like, is presenting it important? Like, is there like a dinner you talk about the head that you took, and you regale your battle about it? Like you have to talk. You don't just go, oh yeah, I got another couple heads today, guys. Oh, tight, good job.
Yeah,
high five.
Yeah, it should be worthy of a story. Otherwise, why are you keeping it, right?
Yeah,
worthy of a story, and and I do really feel like these should be conversation starters, right? Like between Pen Levi, it's like, how did you get that head? And they should have this one here, they could touch it and they'll be like, yeah, I remember exactly, and it was through this, and like, yeah,
look how big his nose is. Oh man, that's weird. That's strange. Yeah, it's like on their Pen Levi coffee table, they just have some heads. Oh, that old thing? Sure, yeah. No, that one I got. And that's a Raxian guy. Strange. Conversation starter. But like you said, they just keep the certain number that they're really proud of or whatever, and then eschew or get rid of the rest when it becomes too burdensome. And you imagine they keep it on their belts, or for whatever reason I imagine because how was it done historically? Did they just kind of put them on pikes? Was that the thing they did?
I think Caesar had it written down at one point, like hanging outside their camp, like the tent, or like their house, outside their house. But I'm afraid we do have this wonderful writer on the team called Kurt Sampson, and he wrote a tale involving the Pen Levi for our prologue, and in that tale, Lynx meets Breyer Urien, and Urien rubs the skulls on his belt with his hand while he's thinking. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, just.
I do have some. I'm actually quite happy. I have poor memory, but I have somewhat encyclopedic knowledge when it comes to Avallen, which is probably good, right?
No, that's why you don't remember, or you don't remember when we first met as home and playing games.
I don't remember our first date, no.
But you remember a fictional story I wrote about Pen Levi rubbing skulls into his belt while talking to someone else.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That's gnarly. All right, that's good. It's a very, very useful skill. Okay, yeah. So, okay, here's a thought that you could also put around. When we talk about transporting things, and let's say you have surplus, but you haven't tried to dump it yet, could there be like some kind of story or skull keeper within a tribe?
Who prepares them? Yeah, okay, yeah. Let's set it down this way. I've got a few ideas from that. Okay, one. So how are they kept? How are they kept? I imagine that the belt wearing thing is like ceremonial dress. Like it's not practical to wear a bunch of skulls on your belt or on your bandolier or whatever, right? It's just not useful. Yeah. But I imagine that's like ceremonial. If you want to look fancy, if you've got a leader meeting another leader, they'll wear it then. If there's some kind of ceremony going on, that's when you're going to have it on your person, right? That's a belt for ceremonial dress. Otherwise stored in houses or on carts. And yes, I love the idea of there being the skull keeper. And this is like once the flesh begins to decay quite a bit, and it becomes a bit of a nuisance to keep around, attracts the flies, and you kind of kept the fresh skull on you for a while, the head, then you give it to the skull keeper and they turn it from a head into a skull that can be preserved and kept going forwards. They might even carve things on it as well. You might want certain things carved on it. Yeah,
that's a cool idea. Like having someone who carves. Maybe the Pen Levi have their secret too is that they have their own writing system that they keep secret from others.
Sure. So they only put on skulls.
Yeah, maybe like that's their papyrus.
Maybe not so much writing, but symbols and things like that.
No, symbols. Yeah. What you know what I mean? Like they're not writing fucking novels.
But honestly, I think it's more like this skull belongs to this guy. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Sure. Or there's a memory of the deeds.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for example, imagine like you have symbols representing their deeds, like roughly. Like, would it be interesting that when you dump it in the pile of skulls, basically what we see as a pile of skulls,
they see it as a history. Yes. Oh, that's so great. And then someone might pick through it and see like where these skulls came from. Who might have brought them there. Dude, isn't that so good? I love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And then the tribes are like, when they're passing by, the druids might educate the children. That could be a fun story of like, they're pick up a skull and look at the markings and see what
skulls tell the history, which can lead to a pile essentially being like a library in a way.
It's like their equivalent of libraries.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
Dude, this is awesome though. I can't wait to put this in the book and like have a drawing of like skulls and be like, actually, this isn't a barbaric practice of skulls. This is a library. Yeah.
yeah. So that's what's the name of the Celtic writing system that
supposed I feel like you ask me every week and I forget the name every week. Is Ogrum or something? Do you mean Ogrum?
I think so.
Ogrum? Yeah.
Ogum, I think Ogum. Ogum, yeah. So I think like it's a late early medieval alphabet used in Ireland, but there was like some historian that believed that it originated even earlier, like 1 BC. James Carney believed this origin. This is from Wikipedia. James Carney believed this origin was rather within the first century BC. I think that was later debunked.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we have to debunk it. That could be a thing that we have in our group. Like, it's up to us, right? Like, it could be a primitive writing system that they use, and they would carve it on stones, like obelisks and so on. But there's no reason why they couldn't use it. Like, okay,
I think it's okay for us to have a thing that isn't necessarily a writing system that has grammar, but symbols that are recognized that have meaning. And it is a way of communicating and passing on information between generations and between peoples. I think that's fine by me. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And that's what I mean. I'm not saying
you're writing letters on these things. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. This is my Ever Stranger fan fiction.
Yeah.
Writing on a skull, but yes, exactly what you're talking about.
That
reason. Okay.
History. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
that raises, so if that becomes a feature of a world, that leads to other ideas for the use of skulls, practical reasons like markers and like symbols and so on, that could be really interesting in the future.
And also they're the kind of thing that survives in the swamp as well, right? They don't decay.
Yeah, they're just bone.
Yeah,
they're just bone. So
yeah.
So imagine like you see a skull on a rock, and if you're not Pen Levi, you're like, oh fuck, this is so gross. I can't. They're. But if you're Pen Levi, oh hold on, they look at the markings. Oh, there's like a food cache, like
like hobo, what they like signs, right?
Yeah, like that kind of thing. So what is it? That it can't be called hobo signs.
I don't know what it's called. Anyone in chat know what I'm talking about? Like hobo.
Oh no,
symbols?
wait, no, sorry. It is called hobo signs and symbols.
It is called hobo. Yay!
So basically, they have their own hobo sign and symbols, which is pretty. Oh, dude, there's this really interesting one. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna put this in the document for us to.
Sure.
Yeah, look at that later. You can even look on stream. So these are, man, I haven't even seen these. These are really interesting.
Okay, as in like this could be like inspiration for.
Yeah, 100%. Like a cat is like the symbol for a cat is a kind lady lives here.
Old cat lady. Yeah.
Oh man, that's really cool. 2/10 is there are thieves about.
Wow.
Dude, that's really cool. And also, that's from early 20th century America. I was,
Yeah, this kind of thing. This is exactly what I'm imagining. Yeah.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, and also, big ups to hobo culture.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we hit the 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we did. That was perfect, dude. Let me just write this down then. So, skulls do not decay in the swamp, which is a benefit for markers, like even over wood, right? Markers. So
better than wood.
On a rock. Might be a signpost. Yeah, signpost for resources or tribal movements. Yeah, like imagine you're moving around, you see a skull. Something says, "Oh, this tribe was here recently." That means like the game might be hunted here already. Maybe we should go somewhere else, or they're claiming the territory. Yeah.
It's a matter of politeness, right? Hey, move on.
Leaving a skull behind. Yeah, dude, I'm so happy. This is the kind of thing that I wanted to get out of this session. Like, I know we talked earlier about a recap, I guess, the culture, the association with death, but I already knew that stuff. We were fleshing out a little bit, but already knew it. The children stuff, that was interesting. But then this is like the special kind of thing that's like, only we have this in our world, kind of. This is particularly to the Pen Levi, and it's an awesome thing that I know players will love as well. And it's kind of thing that if you got this book and you're part of the Pen clan, you might not read the Pen Levi section, but the Pen Levi players going to read it, and they're going to know, and they come into play. It's just awesome. And
there's also there could also be this tension here, right? Where like if the Evermother, for example, they're very like more pacifistic or whatever, and like honoring life. If all of a sudden like a Pen Levi in your fucking group, hold on, we gotta make sure that we let's remember. He just picks up a skull and just starts carving into it. Like a pen, by like a Whisper pen bathe might be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, let's end this here then. This was awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Good stuff. So thank you everyone for watching, whoever's watching either now or later on. And this is proof that our shit is not AI. Right? Like, this is the creative process. This is the real creative process, I think. And it's fun, man. Thank you for that's good stuff.
Yeah, thank you, Gargoyle. Thank you, Heidenberg, for coming by and saying hi. Appreciate it. And important news actually. If you are watching this, next week our stream time is changing because of daylight saving times. We don't want Kurt to be waking up at 7 o'clock or streaming from 7 o'clock in the morning.
Dude, it's hard enough.
Yeah,
it's hard enough getting up at 8 o'clock. It's really tough. but we're doing it.
So next week and from then on, we'll be streaming on Thursdays instead at 12 o'clock in the afternoon UK time. So cheeky lunchtime stream. That'll be in the morning for you guys in the States, if you're commuting or eating your breakfast. And for dearest Kurt, that will be after dinner for you in Japan, won't it?
Yeah, that's right. So hopefully we can find some people in Japan and talk about our game with them. And if you're in Darren's time zone, if you have lunch between 12 and 2 p.m., you should be able to catch part of our stream and stream and say hi while you're having your fish and chips or whatever you call it.
all right. Cheeky.
No, dude, fish and chips are good.
Yeah, I know, but you're just making the assumption that we have chips every day.
Okay, what did you have for lunch today? What did you have for lunch today? I'm assuming a sandwich or fish.
I had leftover Thai food from last night.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Ooh.
Beef and some egg fried rice. It was pretty tasty. Yeah.
Okay, I'm about it. I'm glad you have good Thai food in your area. I need more good Thai places around me. So we have a few, but still hard coming by. Fun stuff though. No, thank you for streaming. Thanks for hanging out and writing.
All right, let's disappear. See you next week, and yeah, take it easy.
Same Valak time, same Valak channel. No, wait, different Valak time.
Different Valak time.
Different Valak time, same Valak channel.
Yeah. All right, later.
All right, later.